Now, I briefly did mention this in my Apollo video, but I'm actually going to not expand, but I'm actually going to talk about it, and that is medical. Medical gameplay in Star Citizen right now is what I would call a bit of a joke. And I don't necessarily mean that in a very bad way. It just feels so half-assed and just terrible. There's no consequence. There's no real risk. And the whole, ooh, I've got a boo-boo, I'll stab myself with a pen, doesn't really constitute as a medical gameplay loop, at least in my opinion. Now, I've spent many years playing Arma 2, Arma 3, now onto Arma Reforger, and various other games that use, at times, provided you use the correct mods, some of the most insanely detailed medical gameplay you can possibly have without actually having to pretend to be a doctor. And before you think, is Jack suggesting we put Ace Medical with Cat maximum difficulty into Star Citizen? No. That would be insane. And I think everyone would probably quit, bar like 35 people. But what would be a good balance between gameplay and realistic medical? Because obviously this is all going to tie into the whole death of a spaceman mechanic, where your character only has a certain amount of regens available to them before they finally snuff it, and you have to create a new sort of person to inherit your reputation and stuff and continue their life in the verse. But what would constitute as a good gameplay medical in the universe that is Star Citizen? Now, we can either be super basic, which is kind of what we've got right now. So the tier 0 medical and respawn and insurance and that type of thing, where you kick the bucket, you backspace, you respawn, you've got all your stuff on you. There's very little consequence other than, oh, it's going to take me 10 minutes to go back to where I was. You've still got your really good guns on you, still got your armor on you, and okay, you might have lost some things in your backpack, but that's about it. And if you're at the other end, and you're the one maybe attacking, maybe you're a pirate, and no, not griefer, an actual pirate, so you're sitting there going, we're going to stop players trading between these locations, and we're going to sort of hold them ransom, take their cargo, blah blah blah. You haven't lost as much. And again, I want everyone to have a really good immersive experience. So I want the pirates to feel like they're actually being pirates. They're on the run. They're actually like having the best time ever, not just sitting there and just being like, oh, we died. Oh, that's a shame. I'll just respawn my ship and go get another one. I want them to have a really good gameplay experience, and I want the players that are doing the cargo to have a really good experience. But anyway, that's something else entirely. But in terms of medical, it feels like there's no consequence. You get shot in the leg, you stab it with a pen, or you use a gun, or you jump into a med bed. Yes, the new medical gameplay that's just come out with the latest patch has the whole med gel things, which is an entirely different sort of thing going on about it, but that's here nor there, at least right now what I'm trying to talk about. We need something more gameplay focused. Something where the newest player, fresh, never played Star Citizen before, new character, set foot on, let's say, Area 18 for the first time ever, and falls down the stairs and breaks their leg. First of all, that's impressive. How did you break your leg on day one and playing the game for the very first time? That's impressive, but at the end of the day, you need to be able to deal with that. So, for that sort of like early basic or medical, it should be quite easy for the player. It shouldn't be too tedious. It shouldn't be terrible to do. Maybe a pen, like the med pen to the leg, or a certain medical sort of style gameplay where it's just you press a button and that particular injury is dealt with. But when it comes to a more serious medical issue, maybe there should be more of a gameplay loop towards it. Now, I'm not suggesting like having chest tubes and having to clear airways and things like that. So if anyone who's played Arma 3's Cat Medical with everything set to max, you'll probably understand how painful that can be to try and do. But it is really good. It would be too much. But having something that is going to keep people who want to be medics and doctors, so the people on hospital ships like the Endeavour and things like that, where they can actually be doctors dealing with tier 1 injuries, where they actually have to think about the treatment. It's not just a case of, oh, I'll put them on a bed and hit OK, or, oh, it's okay, this gun will just make them no longer breathing and they'll respawn in the bed. I honestly, again, this is my personal opinion, there should be a gameplay sort of loop for all tiers of medical, where they get the most serious of injuries, the more complex the gameplay should be, but not so much where it's just, I'm not wanting to spend 20 minutes trying to get a guy to breathe again. And at the same time, you also don't want to be a player like in Arma 3, where when you go down, it goes black screen, and you've got to sit there for how long until the medic gets to you, stabilizes you, gets your heart rate and blood pressure back up to normal, they get the fluids in, check your airway, and that is not gameplay. I mean, don't get me wrong, having the chance to go, oh, I've down, I'm going to get myself a drink from the refrigerator, that's fine. But I shouldn't be there for 15-20 minutes. So there needs to be a balance, and I hope CIG finds a way to make that balance spot on. Because no one wants to lie for 20-30 minutes as they're being revived or saved, but at the same time, it shouldn't be an instant, oh, I'm on the ground and I'm back up again, ready to fight again. Hopefully, a balance where everyone is happy will come about. We know for a fact that's not going to be the case, because everyone's not going to be happy. You're going to have some people that want to be like, oh, I've gone down, 1 med pen, I'm full health again. I don't have to eat, I don't have to drink. All med beds should just all be tier 1s. My Cutlass should have a tier 1 medical bed. My Ursa Rover should have a tier 1 medical bed. Those type of people. Then you've got the other end of the spectrum who think, granted it'll be a very small, very, very small minority, I want it to be the most realistic medical system ever devised, where it tracks where the bullet has landed, and you have to extract it surgically, like Surgeon Simulator, and you've got to treat the wound with like the appropriate drugs and the appropriate sort of quantity of said drug, and then you've got to stabilize. That's a bit too extreme on both ends of the scale. We need to find something in the middle, which is both gameplay fun, but also gives the medical gameplay loop meat on the bones, if you will. Now, granted, everyone's going to have different opinions, that's fine. But what do you all think it should be? What should the medical be as a whole? And if it's slightly different depending on which tiered injury it is, what should each tier injury be on the scale of simple and arcadey to realistic and harder? Because I guarantee you, every single person's sort of opinion is going to be different. So let's get in the comments. If you feel like you're up to it, you can tell me to sod off. But in the comments, go, I think the medical should be like this, blah, 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 blah. And we'll see where it goes, because I would like to see some decent medical gameplay. But others, not so much. And we shall see. Granted, no one will probably ever watch this, especially not CIG-wise, but let's just have a sensible discussion and we'll see what we come up with. Can we find a decent medical solution, a gameplay solution, for Star Citizen? But anyway, I've been Jack. Thanks for listening to me talk about random stuff again. If you got anything you want to say, put it in the comments, and I might respond to it. Maybe.